Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parvajakacharya Asatar Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Gaura Premananda. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 1, Genealogical Table of the Daughters of Manu. Today we're doing text 16. Vidura Uvacha Atri Grihe Sura Shrestaha Stiti Utpati Yanta Hetavaha Kenchit Chikir Shavo Jata Etad Akyahi Me Guru Vidura Vacha Atra Grihe Sura Shrestha Stit Yud Patyanta Hetavaha Kinchit Chikir Shavo Jata Etad Akyahi Me Guru Vidura Vacha Atra Grihe Sura Shrestha Stit Yud Patyanta Hetavaha Kinchit Chikir Shavo Jata Etadakyahi Me Guru Vidura Vacha Atra Grihe Sura Shrestha Stityutpatyanta hetavaha Kinchit chikirshavô jata Etadakyahi me guru Guravacha Etadakyahi Vidura vacha Amsa Shrestha Shitupatanta hetava Kisvisavodata Adakyahi me guru. Vaishnavis Vidura vacha Kinchit chikir shavo jata Atadakyahi me guru. Vidura vacha Sri Vidura said, Atri Grihe, in the house of Atri, Shura Shrestaha, chief demigods, Sthiti, maintenance, Utpatti, creation, Anta, destruction, Hetavaha, causes, Kinchit, something, Chikir Shavaha, desiring to do, Jataha, appeared, Etat, this, Akyahi, tell, me, to me, Guru, my dear spiritual master. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. After hearing this, Vidura inquired from Maitreya, my dear master, how is it that the three deities, Brahmā, Viṣṇu, and Śiva, who are the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of the whole creation, became the offspring of the wife of Atri Muni? Purport. The inquisitiveness of Vidura was quite fitting, for he understood that when the Supersoul, Lord Brahmā and Lord Śiva, all appeared through the person of Anasūyā, the wife of Atri Muni, there must have been some great purpose. Otherwise, why should they have appeared in such a way? Om Jnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshura Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So here we're learning about the early history of our family. People are often very interested in genealogy, I've seen television programs where they have very famous people get their genealogies done and they learn about this great-grandfather or uncle. No. This great-grandfather, great-grandmother, and this and that happened. And here we're getting the genealogy of the whole population of the universe, which includes ourselves. Atri was one of the mental sons of Lord Brahmā. In other words, there are different ways that the bodies and the material world that the souls in this state take on. But the first method is Lord Brahmā takes his birth from the lotus flower that emerges from the body of Garbhodakṣaya Viṣṇu. He's the first living entity in the universe. So we can trace our heritage back to Lord Brahmā in many different ways. One is through our bodies, our gross physical bodies. We have our grandparents on our mother's and father's sides. We can trace our ancestry back through time. But if you traced your ancestry all the way back through time, eventually you would come to one of the Prajapatis, like Atri. He was one of the seven mental sons of Lord Brahmā. And eventually to Brahmā, if we're talking about the lineage of our material bodies. Like in India, it's called Gotra. And most people are expected to know what their Gotra is, who their original ancestor was. And in the early days in India, the devotees asked Srila Prabhupada, said that when we go to temples, if we go different places, the pundits, the priests, the pujaris, they ask us, what is our Gotra? And Srila Prabhupada told them you could say Achyuta Gotra. That ultimately we come from Krishna. So I remember I did that once. I was on a lecture tour in South India, and it wasn't an ISKCON organization that sponsored it. So, they would take me different places to lecture, and in the evening they'd take me out to visit different temples. So we went to one temple, and the priests there, they asked me what was my Gotra. I said Achyuta Gotra, and they said, oh, very nice. And they figured out what puja to give to me. Actually, I was traveling with another person, some kind of Vaishnava, Western convert from Canada. He was an astrologer. And he would go to people, look at their hand and would say, oh, I see you've got a Mahadev problem here, so you better give. So thought we could do that too. Oh, you've got a Krishna problem there. Better go to the Hare Krishna temple. So, in any case, through our biological lineage, we can trace our heritage back to Lord Brahmā. As spirit souls, Mamaivam so jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. We're eternal parts and parcels of Krishna. So, Jiva Swarupa Hoy Krishnara Nityadas. We're eternal servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But to understand that, we have to take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. And from the spiritual master and the Vedic literature, we get our second birth. And that lineage also goes back to Lord Brahma. And we're part of the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So we can trace our lineage biologically back to Lord Brahma. We can trace our spiritual lineage, our parampara, our sampradaya back to Lord Brahma. And even in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada mentions that the first birth of a living entity in the material world is on the level of Brahma, and you work your way down from there. And somehow or other, if you get a human body, you've got a really great opportunity to get out of that whole system. But the path the soul takes in reincarnation is different than the path that the body takes in terms of its biological evolution. So you could say there's a kind of spiritual evolution that goes on, that arrangement is there. This universe that we exist in has a dual purpose. We can use it to try to enjoy and exploit the material resources, turning away from Krishna, Krishna bahir mukahana bhogavanchakare nikatashta mayatare japati adare. That if we turn from Krishna and his devotional service, then Maya is there to capture us, and therefore we have to undergo so many difficulties. So if somehow or other a soul comes and Brahmate Brahmati Kon Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasadi Paye Bhakti Lata Bij. If a soul is fortunate, then wandering through the different universes in different bodies and in different planetary systems, if eventually one gets the seed of devotional service, the Bhakti Lata Bij, one is very fortunate. And the cultivation of the Bhakti Lata Bija is best done in the association of devotees. Tandara Charana Sevi Bhakti Sanivas. The cultivation of devotional service to the sampradaya, the disciplic succession, the parampara, is done in the association of devotees, Bhakti Sanivas. So that's why Srila Prabhupada instituted the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, to provide a forum for association of those who are interested in cultivating the primary purpose of life. So it's a very exclusive club. Sometimes people are a little bit proud that they've gone to Yale or Harvard or some top university, because there they'll not only get the best education, they'll get the best position possible after they graduate, and they'll have a network of friends and associates who are going to occupy big places in society. So that's what we have here. It's actually the most exclusive club in a sense, that we're getting information that is very confidential. It's like we're going to find out. The question raised in this verse is, well, what's going on here? Why are Brahma, Viṣṇu, and Śiva appearing as the sons of Atri Muni through his wife Anasūyā, who was one of the daughters of Kardama Muni. After Kardama Muni and Devahuti went traveling all through the universe in their fantastic Vimana, or flying palace, spaceship, that Kardama Muni manifested by his yogic power, not by building it in a factory, but by his yogic power he manifested that. So they had 9 daughters, and later Kapila Muni, an incarnation of an avatar of Krishna, as their son. But they also had these 9 daughters, and Anasūyā was one of them. And they were given in marriage to the mental sons of Brahma. And they were to be Prajapatis, generators of population. So the first process for producing bodies for living entities, conditioned souls in the material world, is asexual. Brahma coming from the lotus flower, Brahma producing his mental sons. But after that, he produces the first sexually reproducing pair, Swayambhuva Manu and his queen, Shatarupa. Thank you. So they have sons and daughters, and we see how Devahuti was one daughter. She was given in marriage to Kardama Muni, and this Anasūyā was another, and she was given in marriage to Atri, and they went on to generate population, which goes on to reproduce in a sexual manner with male and female involved. So the thing is, as we're going to learn in the next few verses and the remaining part of this chapter, is that Atri wanted a special son. He wanted a son that was like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he prayed like that. But it said, as we're going to learn in some of the coming verses, that he didn't know who the Supreme Personality of Godhead was. He knew in a general way there's a source. Janmadyasya yataha, there's a source of everything that exists. And that's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he wasn't really aware of what the name of that personality was. He kind of knew about the post, but he didn't know the name of the person, who it actually was. So for that reason, he was surprised himself when these three personalities came, Brahma, Viṣṇu, and Śiva, and told them they were going to appear as his sons in different expansions, Soma, Durvasa, and who's the other one? Drutakarma, right? So, we can see, again, that we're in a very fortunate position because we're being told not only is there a Supreme Personality of Godhead, we know his name, Krishna, we know what he looks like, we know what he does, he likes to do, likes to herd cows, dance with gopis, be the dutiful son of his mother Yashoda, as we're seeing here in the Damodarashtakam pastimes. So we're getting, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the most confidential knowledge. And we have a duty to spread it. You know, just like, you know, sometimes people who have great wealth, some of them are very selfish, but others, they try to do some good as they perceive it by giving some of their wealth away in charity. So we're fortunate. We've got the most valuable asset in the whole cosmos, you know, the Bhakti Lata Bij, the key to devotional service. So we should spread it, not just keep it to ourselves. So So when Brahma, Viṣṇu, and Śiva came, Atri asked them, I asked for one person, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so why did you three come here? And they kind of explained that, in a sense, each of them is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You know, they're the guna avatars. So each one of them and all three of them together can actually take on that nomenclature. They can take that title, just like Srila Prabhupada explains in some of his purports that, in a sense, Mahavishnu can be called the Supreme Personality of Godhead of all the universes, and Garbhodakashayi Viṣṇu can be called the Supreme Controller, because he's in control of the universe. And Kshirodakashayi Viṣṇu can be called the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Controller, because he controls individually. So, he's inside each atom and in the heart of each living entity. So they can all be called in one way or another, the Supreme Controller, the Supreme Lord. So they told him, because you weren't specific, we all three came. And you will have these sons who will be our expansions. So these are some of the thoughts I had about today's verse. And purport, any comments or questions? Everybody?
Thank you, Prabhu, for a very interesting class. My question is, if somebody like Atri Muni, who is, as you mentioned, like one of the mentally generated sons of Lord Brahmā, Bhrigu Muni, there was that conference, it took place in some higher planetary system where, they were all discussing about, that's in the beginning of the prayers of the personified Vedas. They're trying to work out if these great sages are trying to understand whether the ultimate understanding of the Lord is personal or impersonal, the four Kumaras. How is it that we're like Malechas, Yavanas, before Prabhupada came anyway, we're like Malechas, Yavanas, Chandalas, Vedic outcasts. We're not even in the the Varnashram system. And how is it that we're getting this confidential knowledge when these very elevated personalities up to the status of the four Kumaras were not privy to it, at least at some point in time?
It's a special sale. We should take advantage. Lord Chaitanya and his followers broke open the storehouse of love of God. Things that are normally given at a very high price to very qualified individuals with excellent credit are now being offered freely to anyone who care to pick them up. So it's a special opportunity Lord Chaitanya has provided, and there's no reason for it. It's causeless mercy. So that's one answer. But it's also true that very highly placed individuals, souls in the cosmos, are sometimes bewildered by the appearance of Krishna. Even Lord Brahma, in the Brahma Vimohan Leela, he becomes bewildered by Krishna, as he's appearing in his pastimes. I mean, he knows there's a Supreme Personality of Godhead, but sees Krishna playing with the cowherd boys and calves in the forest, and is thinking, what is this? And he becomes bewildered by it. So even very highly placed individuals can become, even up to the great demigods and great personalities like Atri, they're not aware of this most confidential knowledge, or they can't maintain it all the time. So I guess it's a warning to us too, if they can lose their focus at some point for some reason, what to speak of us. So we should take it very seriously. Anything else?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. If Lord Brahmā could generate offspring mentally, why did he feel it necessary to create why did he feel it necessary to create people to sexually reproduce?
Well, this isn't the first creation. If you study the Bhagavatam, it says he prayed for the ability to manifest the planetary systems and the bodies of the living things within the universe as it had been before. So it's, and he admitted that he wasn't doing it himself. He was carrying out the plan made by a superior. Narada Muni was speaking to him, because in this universe, Narada appears as a son of Lord Brahmā, and he was asking him, you mean there's someone superior to you? And he said yes. So there's a whole larger plan that was laid out by Krishna, that there are 8,400,000 kinds of bodies that are going to be made available to conditioned souls. It's like when you go in a store or hotel or buy seats on an airplane, there are classes that are already established. There's first, business, economy plus. It's all laid out. You can't bring in your own chair. There's a system. So for Lord Brahma, there's an outline, a task, ingredients have been provided, plans have been provided. It's said in the Bhagavatam that Brahma makes use of seeds. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I'm the seed-giving father of all living things, makes use of those bijas. So he knows, Lord Brahma knows that he's responsible for not just making whatever he feels like making, but that there is a plan, a whole plan to execute that includes 8,400,000 species of life, including 400,000 human or human-like species. Of course, you've got to be careful about using the word species. It doesn't mean exactly the same thing as a modern biologist might say a species means, but it means a kind of body which is meant to provide a jiva soul, a conscious self, with a particular variety of experience. And according to one's qualification, one gets a certain quality of experience and certain opportunities in different forms of life. So they all have to be manifested, and he's aware of that. Anything else? Yes.
You mentioned that the first birth of the living entity in the material world is equal to on the level of Lord Brahma. But I think I heard also that sometimes someone said that, some devotee said that is Lord Brahma's, that is the first birth. Is it correct?
Well, I was qualifying a little bit. Basically, I was quoting or paraphrasing, but trying to use the exact terminology for a statement that Srila Prabhupada makes in the 9th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So I could dig up the exact quote, but I believe he says the first birth is as Brahma there. Wasn't saying it on the basis of anything other than he made the statement. Prigapati, were you going to say something on that?
Hari Sari directly asked Prabhupada, it's in that Transcendental Diary, because he thought that was pretty far out, and Prabhupada said, yeah, what's the problem, Krishna can do it. That was basically, Prabhupada supported it, he didn't back off or qualify it in any way. He just, Krishna can do it. So,
Yeah, it's an important point, because one of the main arguments that people have against religion or spirituality is the problem of evil in the world. They look around, they say, we see so many terrible things happening. How could God do that? First of all, God doesn't want us to be here. The only reason there is this place is because we don't want the atmosphere of the spiritual world. And when we come here, we're given the topmost post. And it's only by our misuse of free will that we get involved in all kinds of situations that we're more or less the creators of. So, and we're being offered, a chance to retrace our steps, so to speak, and get out of the situation that we've created for ourselves. But of course, one has to look at everything Srila Prabhupada said about it, but the fact that it's in the books and kind of confirmed by Hari Sari personally with him, something to take seriously. Okay, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.